Can please have everybody take their seats. And the inductees, if I can request the inductees to please, Ron Duquette, put your hand up. If you can please see Ron to the left side, that would be great. Thank you. So the inductees, if they can please to where I'm pointing, to the left side, if they can be there, that would be great. Thank you. And if the other guests, please, can take their seats. There are some seats in the front. Please feel free to move forward. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very, very special day today, this afternoon, the 2020 Legends Row Induction Ceremony. My name is Jake Deere, and I've been a part of this wonderful group organization since we started. and it's so good to be here and so good to see each and every one of you. Would you please welcome our guests of honor and the inductees for 2019 and 2020. Very good. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. You know, it's so good to be seeing everybody in person. We're doing 2019 and 2020 together, and you know why. It's so good. We're not on Zoom. You can actually see what I'm wearing below my waist. My goodness, what incredible 20 months have been. And thank God everybody that is here and all of you and your families, I hope are healthy and safe, and God bless each and every one of all of us. I want to thank Mason Victoria for the music this afternoon. Mason has directed one of the largest big bands in Toronto, the 21-piece Sonoskopos Jazz Orchestra, and arranged and composed for several groups, including the Toronto Jazz Orchestra. He received the Mississauga Arts Council 2018 Emerging Instrumental Marty Award and the Ron Lennox Inspiring Youth Award. Thank you also to the Mississauga Arts Council for their generous support of our performers this afternoon. What a wonderful organization. And thank you, Mason, to you and the Mississauga Arts Council. Thank you. And before we begin with the festivities, I want to acknowledge that the land on which we're blessed to call home and on which we meet today is part of the treaty lands and their traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We recognize the importance of this land and pay our respects to the Anishinaabe and other First Nation, Métis, and Inuit past, present, and future. So it's very appropriate that we actually start this incredible afternoon with an old-style jingle dress dancer. You know, jingle dress dancing offers healing to those that need it. And that's quite exceptional, quite wonderful. Would you please welcome, performing the healing dance from the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Lauren Porter.
Hey,
Chi Miigwech. Thank you very much, Lauren. Lauren Porter is an old-style jingle dress dancer and artist from Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Ontario. Lauren is on the road of becoming a 2022 graduate from Hagersville Secondary School, and she just loves to perform for those who are unable to. And thank you again, Lauren, for that wonderful performance. And now, if I can please ask you to rise and please welcome, for the national anthem, would you please welcome Patty Janetta Baker.
Please sing, everyone.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free, from far and wide. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
What a beautiful voice, Patty. Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As I mentioned, the past 20 months have been incredible. I mean, we are going through a world pandemic, and during these catastrophic times, you need strong leadership at the helm to help you through these times. And our leader of this great city is the mayor, and I'd like to invite her. I think she's done a great job as well. She provides updates to our citizens on a regular basis and make sure that we are all safe. Would you please welcome the great mayor of the great city of Mississauga, the wonderful, Her Worship, Mayor Bonnie Crombie.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's such a delight to be with all of you here today, and I'm so grateful that we can come together to celebrate this year's Legends Row Induction Ceremony, And on behalf of the members of my council and City of Mississauga, we thank you all for joining us, and we want to come together to recognize the incredibly accomplished individuals who we're paying tribute to here today. Inductions into Legends Row is one of the highest honors that a resident or a former resident can receive in our city. So I want to thank the ongoing efforts of Ron Duquette and the board of directors of Legends Row and the community partners for their commitment to honoring Mississauga's most inspiring individuals. So grateful that you're all here today. I want to recognize that some of my members of council are here with us too. If you may wave or stand up when I call your name. Karen Rass from Ward 2 is with us. Thank you, Karen. And Councillor Ron Starr from Ward 6 is with us as well. I see a number of Citizens of the Year and other Legends Row inductees, and want to thank everyone for joining us here today. And of course, our dear friend Stacey Laforme, our Chief of the Mississaugas of the Credit, is with us. Chief, please, Gimma, please give us a wave. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. You'll be hearing from me again shortly.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. By the way, we found these keys. They're not keys to a car, so I couldn't care less. I don't think they're keys to our house, so I'm not the proud owner of a new home. They're just keys, and it's just one key, so I don't know what good it is, but if you've lost a key, this is yours. And it's in my pocket, and if you want it, $50. I'm not getting paid for doing this, so I got to make one. You know, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This Legends Row initiative started with vision. And like everything else, and I see many business people here, many philanthropists, many community leaders, and you know, you have that vision, and then you bring a bunch of people together and say, listen, come join me on this ride. It's amazing. And then you get buy-in. And that buy-in also comes from the idea, but it also comes from that leader. And that leader has been the visionary of Legends Row. And I'd like to invite him up to talk about Legends Row and where we were, where we are, and where we want to head, and what is all in his mind, at least what's in his mind that he can share with us. Would you please welcome a great community volunteer and a dear friend of mine and my family, and certainly a dear friend of the city of Mississauga, and the visionary behind Legends Row, Mr. Ron Duquette.
Thank you so much, Jake. Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, this is absolutely amazing. This last 2 years, you know, hunkered down, not being able to do these kinds of events has been a little tough on a lot of us, but we're back. Thank you to Bonnie and the city for keeping us safe and onwards and upwards with the COVID problems, and hopefully by next year, we won't even have to wear a mask. Won't that be nice? I want to ask everyone to give me a big smile because you're on candid camera. And we are broadcasting the show today throughout the world. So anyone across the world is able to see what we're doing today. And I know there's one young lady in Australia. She can't be here. But she's watching. Got a cold. Huh. Anyway, you'll find out more about her later. Back in 2018, if any of you were here at our last induction ceremony, we announced the merging of our two organizations, Heritage Mississauga and Legends Row. And so we've been at it now for 2 years. We've been partners, and we've downsized our boards so that we have a pretty small group of people who are involved in this project on an ongoing basis. And I really think that I need to introduce them. First of all, Doug Hancox. Jamie Gaspar over here. Diane Kalinchuk. Our MC incredible, Jake Deere. Mr. Doug Fowles, and Judy Tuddy. So that is our small group now, and I'm so proud of all of them, and we've come together really, really nicely, and everything is meshing beautifully. You know, I always like to invite, in fact we do, invite our alumni to this event, and over the years, a number of them have been able to attend, and we do have a few alumni members that I'd like to introduce today. Inducted in 2013 as part of the great rock group Triumph, we have Gil Moore with us. Gil, stand up. The gentleman who led the Hamilton Tiger Cats to, I don't know, 15 Grey Cups, whatever the heck it was a lot anyway. Inducted in 2015, Mr. Chuck Ely. Is Colin Saldana here? No, I didn't see him, okay. Inducted in 2016 for public service, an amazing gentleman, Dave Toyson. Dave, stand up. He guided, he's done incredible things all over the world to help children and families get on their feet, and anyway, he's done amazing things, and he certainly deserved his induction. Athletics in 2018, Sue Harris. And last, but certainly not least, for public service, inducted in 2017, Chancellor Hazel McCallion. I'd like to also introduce one other gentleman. When we started this project back in 2012, I called a good friend of mine, Norm Loberg, to join our group. It was a fairly large board, about 15, 16 people, and he took on the chairmanship of that organization as we evolved through the years. And he did an amazing job getting us to the point where we were able to open in 2017 and the ongoing things that we're able to do. So Norm Loberg, stand up and take a bow. Now, I often get asked, how do we select our inductees every year? Well, it's a very simple process. Anyone who lives in the city of Mississauga can go onto our website if they feel that they know someone who is deserving of this kind of an award. The criteria is on the website. Then you can make an induction proposal right on the website. What happens then is all of that information comes together, and we have a group, what we call the Community Advisory Circle. And these are people made up of different facets of life in our city. We've got sports and arts and health and a whole bunch of other areas. And there are about a dozen of these people now, and we sit them around a table and we give them all of the material that they need, and they, in fact, are the ones that select the inductees, not the board. So they're a very important part of our team. I'd like to introduce some of the people on that group. The CAC are here. Judy Tuddy, I mentioned. Judy, stand up. Mr. Ron Starr, who is our member from council. Mr. Mike Douglas, Executive Director of the Mississauga Arts Council. Jamie Gaspar, who is the Executive Director of Heritage Mississauga. And finally, Catherine Holland, who is the Executive Director of the Mississauga Sports Council. Where is she? There she is. We also have, I didn't see him, is Cliff Hunt here? Okay. I wanted to introduce him. I'd also like to thank one other person, and he's not here. He doesn't work on the weekends, but his name is Mike Oliver, works for the city of Mississauga, and he bent over backwards to make sure that we could put this event on in here, and I really appreciate all the work that he did through his colleagues here at the city, so thank you. Now I have one wonderful announcement. Initially, we did not think that we would have the totems either manufactured or installed in Legends Row in time for our ceremony. Well, the good news is that they were installed on Thursday. They had some difficulties in the manufacturing process, as a lot of organizations are these days, but they bent over backwards, and all of your totems are now installed on Legends Row. So after the show today, if you want to pick up your coats and your bags and you walk out either of these doors on the side and wander over that away, that's where Legends Row is, and you'll be able to see your plaques and take your pictures and do all kinds of things and show you what we're all very, very proud of. So please do that. That's all I've got to say. We've got a lot to cover today, and I really thank, again, all of you for attending and enjoy what you're going to see.
Thanks very much, Ron. All right, let's get this started. It's time to recognize our inductees for 2019. To introduce our first inductee, would you please welcome Dr. Gary Morningstar.
Thank you very much. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to introduce a mentor, colleague, and friend, Dr. Reg Perkin. Having been inspired by his own family physician, who made house calls throughout a protracted illness in his youth, Reg pursued a career in family medicine and has in turn inspired many others to follow in his footsteps. After graduating, he started as a solo practitioner in 1956 on Dixie Road. Mornings were busy attending to patients in hospital and doing house calls. Afternoons involved seeing patients in his clinic. Any time, day or night, expectant mothers went into labor. These were the baby boom years, after all. His neighbors soon recognized what was happening when he would fire up his sporty little Fiat sports car and suddenly roar off to the hospital in the middle of the night. His clinic gradually grew to a 9-doctor practice, and Dixie Road Medical Associates still operates at 2200 Dixie Road today. Additionally, he headed the family practice unit at the Toronto Western Hospital from 1966 to 1971, and was the family practice department head at the Mississauga Hospital from 1967 to 1975. He was the first chairperson of the then fledgling Department of Family and Community Medicine at the University of Toronto from 1969 to 1970. His interest in teaching led him to become the director of the University of Toronto Family Practice Residency Program from 1970 to 1983. That year, in 1983, he left his clinical practice to become the executive director of the College of Family Physicians of Canada, headquartered here in Mississauga. He retired from this role in 1996, but continued to serve as the vice president of the Americas region in the World Organization of Family Physicians from 1995 to 2001. This doctor has received many awards, but he's also had many awards established in his name. The annual College National Family Physician Awards and locally the Ontario College Family Physician of the Year are known as the Dr. Reg Perkin Awards. More recently, in 2019, the University of Toronto created an Undergraduate of the Year award in his name in honor of the department's 50th anniversary. He received a 60-year service award from the Government of Ontario for volunteer work with the Applewood United Church. And I'm told that that congregation has had, I believe, 5 inductees, amazingly, into this Legends. Amazing. He chaired the board there numerous times. He was instrumental in helping his church bring 3 Syrian refugee families to Canada and making sure that they became established here. He enjoys singing in the church choir and in other choirs, and still performs as a soloist in his church. He also enjoys golf and has been a member of the Mississauga Golf and Country Club for over 60 years. He tells me he played last week. In his 90s now, he can still get a hold of the golf ball at times. His family, including many grandchildren and great-grandchildren, currently numbering 5, but I'm told number 6 and number 7 are on their way, now give him much joy. This man remains humble, compassionate, and thoughtful. He actively remains in touch with many friends and colleagues throughout Canada and internationally. With his wife Allison by his side at every step, he is a worthy addition to the Legends Hall and to take his place among the illustrious group of current and past inductees. Dr. Reg Perkin.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morningstar. If I can please invite the President of Heritage Mississauga, Douglas Hancock, to present the award to Dr. Reg Perkin.
Thank you. Well, my sincere thanks to Ron Duquette, the management team and community advisory circle of Legends Row, and to Dr. Gary Morningstar for my nomination. And to my wonderful wife, Allison, and her 4 children for their love and support, despite my often being away from our home involved in patient care or teaching activities that ultimately led to the recognition that I'm privileged to receive today. And to my parents, Betty and Lou, who guaranteed the bank loan we needed to move to Mississauga, buy the land and build a combination home and medical office. And to the many people who've been privileged to know and work with over the years at Dixie Road Medical Associates, the Mississauga Hospital, and the Trillium Health Network, Faculty of Medicine, University of Toronto, College of Family Physicians of Canada, the World Organization of Family Doctors, and as you've heard, Applewood United Church, the Mississauga Golf and Country Club, and also the Applewood Probus Club for the last 15 years. When we moved to Toronto Township, as it was known in 1956, it was a collection of farms, orchards, and villages, Dixie, Cooksville, Port Credit, Streetsville, with a total population of 10,000 people. We bought property on the west side of Dixie Road north of the Queen E.W. from Mel Watson. He was a farmer and father of Bob Watson, who some of you may remember as a longtime lawyer in Port Credit and a good friend. Glenn Grice, who you may also remember, built us a combination home and office, and we moved in on September the 1st, 1956. The practice grew rapidly. In the early 1960s, I started to build a family doctor group. And in 1965, now with 4 children, we moved our home to a new house on Dixie Road South. In 1970, utilizing the adjacent property that we'd purchased, the office was enlarged and still in the same location, now with 9 family physicians. With partners to cover my practice, I was able to accept an invitation from the Dean of Medicine at the University of Toronto to teach part-time. Interestingly, the students always appreciated that I was still actively practicing medicine because to them it made my clinical teaching more relevant. It also meant that some medical students received training in Mississauga. And this has now evolved to the point where, would you believe this, that some University of Toronto students take their entire undergraduate program at the U of T's Mississauga campus. Allison and I have loved living in Mississauga. The schools for our children were excellent. We've both been very active with Applewood United Church. My retirement years were greatly enriched recently by being a member of a church committee that brought 3 Syrian refugee families to Canada, and they're all doing extremely well. So today, for me, it says it all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Perkin. And now it's time to introduce the next inductee. Would you please welcome from the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Chief Stacey Laforme.
Ani, Bazu, Nagani, Anishtabekanini, Stacey Laforme, Disnakas, Credit Dunzerba, Mayinga Dodam, Mississauga, Nishnabe Dao. Just said, hey. No laugh. No. Tough crowd, I don't know. I guess I've used that joke once too many. All right, I'll work on a new one. So it's a pleasure to be here. And first, let me say thank you for the opening and the performance. It was a very nice reminder of the relationship between the city and the Mississaugas of the credit of the Anishinaabe. So miigwech for that. I've moved into the modern world of technology. So I have a phone here. So, where to begin with Carolyn? Wow. So I worked with Carolyn when I was a young man, and well, we were both fairly young back in those days. What was it, Carolyn, 10 years ago? Do you laugh at that one? Anyway, I always looked up to Carolyn and admired her. And she was a good, strong leader. And together we worked on many, many projects. I don't want to go into all the details, but our logo for our nation, which our membership voted on and ratified, Veterans Monument, and so many other things. She's been involved with the first Land Planning Act, the zoning bylaws. So you name it, and Carolyn's been a part of it in our First Nation. And so she's been so much to so many, and still is. Friend, ally, opponent on occasion, driving force, boss, co-worker, chief, ec-dev officer, entrepreneur, planner, knowledge carrier, elder, and of course, moccasin goddess. Now, if you don't know what the moccasin identifier is, that's why she's a moccasin goddess, if you do know. An ambassador and a force of nature. And she shares all of her time and energy and wisdom with all of us as she tries to change the world one step at a time, or as she says, one moccasin at a time. Perhaps her greatest gift, besides her gift of gab, for which she is eternally blessed, is the ability to make friends and allies and inspire the same passions in others as she carries in herself, which allows her to complete so many impossible tasks and accomplish so many things. It's because when you meet Carolyn, you can't help but feel that passion, that energy, and you get caught up in it, and pretty soon you're working on that just as hard as she is. Now, I don't know if she does it on purpose and it's a tactic, but it's a pretty good one. So, is Carolyn perfect? No. A treasure? Absolutely. A legend? Many times over. So, that's all I have to say, Carolyn. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I hope we continue to work with you for many years in the future. Miigwech.
If you take a look at the screen, we have a video as well that talks about Carolyn King.
For more than 30 years, Carolyn King has been an ambassador for her people. She has made a lifelong commitment to help people develop a better understanding of Indigenous First Nations peoples of Canada. A descendant of the Mississaugas of the Credit, Carolyn has a special connection to the traditional territory of her people. In the early 2000s, she began to develop the idea of a symbol, a marker to identify where First Nation communities historically lived and to tell their story and ensure they were not forgotten. After much reflection on the symbols and sacred traditions of the First Nations people, Carolyn realized that the moccasin was an identifiable symbol for all of their communities. Each group had their own design, and those designs could be made into stencils used to identify where they had lived and walked on the land. She called it the Moccasin Identifier Project.
Ani, I'm Carolyn King, and I'm a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the creator of the Moccasin Identifier. This is the Anishinaabe stencil, and if you didn't know, it's the center seam for the Anishinaabe Ojibwe, and the word Ojibwe actually means gathered up, puckered seam. So it's synonymous with our footwear, we're starting over with those history lessons and providing the teachers with a curriculum that they can use in the school system to educate the students about that. And like I said, we're starting over with the children. The idea is that they would research whose land their school is built on, near, or what treaty area they're in. And the educational kit that we have has all that information in there. And I have found in the different schools, we've done thousands of kids over the past, we're into a decade of doing this program. And that very well received. And the children just, I love it.
Now, largely thanks to Carolyn and her efforts, there are and have been images, shapes, and imprints of moccasins, both permanent and temporary, cropping up all over the province of Ontario. In all of her work, teaching, presenting, consulting, and as a former chief of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation, Carolyn King has truly been an ambassador for her community. She has demonstrated a dedication like few others to bring an understanding and help ensure the First Nations people are not forgotten. In 2020, Carolyn King was appointed a member of the Order of Canada. Today, we proudly welcome her to Mississauga Legends Row.
Amazing. And to present the Legends Row Inductee Award to Carolyn King, would you please welcome the Executive Director of Heritage Mississauga, Jamie Gaspar.
It's a bit heavy. So, Chimiwich, Carolyn King, Dijnikaz, that's my name. As you buy a new credit, I born and raised on an Indian reserve. And so I said, that's my perspective. Some people call it an attitude. Because I worked for our nation, our people, and that you can see that looks like me up there. That's the picture I got taken from the Order of Canada paper, and that quite the honor, and that I'm so grateful that people have started to recognize the Indigenous people. And I'll say that I have my moccasins on, center seam, got my eagle feather, and I'd say in my speeches that and carry my eagle feather that I got about 5 years into our powwow, so about 1990 I got it, and I tell people that our people want to, use the eagle feather, and it's very sacred and special to us. And I said, if you don't understand what that is, if you understand what the Order of Canada is, people are recognized for their good work, and it's the highest honor in Canada. And I said, well, the eagle feather is that to us. You're recognized by your peers in ceremony for the good that you've done with your community, and it's an honor that you seek. I'm going to say not necessarily seek, you're doing, and people recognize you. And so, and all the work that I've done with the First Nation, and that we propose to educate. The Mississaugas of the Credit have done a lot of outreach work because we're kind of lost in the picture, lost that this was our land, our treaty land, and that we had the right to hunt and fish along the rivers at one time, and not anymore. And that, when he's mentioned about me being family bloodline, on my Mississauga side, I'm Etobicoke. And there's a couple of places named here, Etobicoke Creek, the town of Etobicoke. So we've, got a pretty good bloodline to here. And I say in my Moccasin Identifier project that we want to change the world. We want to create an awareness program that will help people understand in ways that they never did before. Our education system has not been our friend. Might have taught us how to speak English and learn 1, 2, 3, but they left us out of the history paper. And that, so I'd like to change, the steps that we're taking to change the world. And I'll tell you, it takes a lot of people. So I welcome you to be part of my Let's Change the World. So with that, Chimigwech, I'm honored. I'm honored.
Chimigwech, we are honored that you're here. Thank you so much, and your initiative of the moccasin identifier, Carolyn. Thank you, Chief. Moving right along, to introduce our next inductee is, I had the pleasure of working with him at the Board of Trade. He's the Chief Strategy Officer. Would you please welcome Mr. David Wojcik.
Well, thanks, Jake. And this morning, as I was rehearsing my words for my lovely bride, Joanne, she said, wow, she says, that's short. I said, well, Ron only gave me 2 minutes. She said, he doesn't know you very well. I said, on the contrary, honey, he knows me all too well, and that's why he only gave me the 2 minutes. It's truly a pleasure for me to be here to honor Jack McGregor as he joins the Legends of Mississauga. As you walk along Legends Row here at City Hall, you'll recognize the names of many of the inductees. But will you recognize Jack's name? You will if you moved in the circles of pioneers in what we call environmental stewardship. Jack's influence lives with us every day. Every time you buy a new refrigerator and you say goodbye to that old one, I want you to think of Jack. He's the guy who would take spent refrigerants from those old refrigerators, and Jack would recycle them so we can continue to enjoy one of the greatest inventions of our time while protecting the environment. Spent refrigerants is only one of the many man-made products that Jack and Fielding have been recycling on our behalf since 1955. Jack was relentless in his pursuit of better ways to safeguard the environment and provide cradle-to-cradle care of spent chemicals. And that passion and vision lives on today through Jack's daughter, Ellen McGregor. Jack passed away a number of years before I met the McGregor family, and I didn't have the opportunity to meet him in person. However, through the eyes and words of his daughter, Ellen, I have felt Jack's presence and the tremendous influence he had on shaping Mississauga as the great city it is today. Through Jack's perseverance and dedication to his industry and profession, we enjoy a safer and more secure planet to raise our families. Please turn your attention to the video monitor as we pay tribute to Jack McGregor.
Jack McGregor was a true visionary and a community leader. Perhaps because he was raised in a big family during the Great Depression, he had a commitment to recycling. Perhaps because he sailed the oceans as a World War II Navy man, he owned both a deep appreciation of nature and an unwavering commitment to helping others. Perhaps it was the combination of all those experiences, coupled with his ability to foresee the future, that led Jack to pioneer new business in Canada, a business that served the environment and his community. In 1955, Jack McGregor co-founded a company to recycle chemical waste into quality recyclable products. Not surprisingly, he built his first plant using used equipment. The first program was with the Ford Motor Company. Fielding Chemical provided a system of recovering solvents being used in Ford's paint process. Drums of waste solvents from the Oakville plant were recycled in a custom-designed distillation system at Fielding. Recycled solvents were then returned to Ford for reuse. This early commitment to environmental responsibility grew to include paint manufacturers such as PPG, Benjamin Moore, and Lowe Brothers. Soon after this, Fielding began recycling waste glycols and used refrigerants for companies like DuPont. Now called Fielding Environmental, Jack's dream grew to service Fortune 500 companies throughout North America and to distribute recycled products around the world. Jack McGregor's vision lives on through his daughter, Ellen McGregor, who has skillfully guided the company for the last 3 decades as an industry leader recognized for their environmental stewardship. But business aside, Jack loved Mississauga. He was raised in Port Credit, where he met the love of his life, Gurley Hightown. They lived in Applewood Acres for 45 years. Jack held leadership positions in Kiwanis, at Credit Valley Golf Club, and for local charities. He would say, "It's not about what you make that makes you a good human. It's about the money and time you give." The lessons Jack taught continued to influence his children, grandchildren, and Fielding. Fielding is proud to have contributed to so many incredible organizations, including the Mississauga Board of Trade, the University of Toronto, Mississauga, Sheridan College, the Living Arts Centre, the Credit Valley Conservation Authority, Trillium Health Partners, and the Community Foundation for the City of Mississauga. From the work Fielding does to protect the environment to its steadfast commitment to community involvement, Jack McGregor lives on.
And to present the award, would you please welcome a member of our Legends Row Committee, Mr. Douglas Fowles, and accepting on behalf of her late father is one of my favorite people, Ellen McGregor.
Hello, everyone. That choked me up. I don't know about you, but I'm going to get through this. And I didn't know I was going to make remarks, so I'm just speaking off the cuff. And let me first say thank you so much. Thank you to the Board of Directors and to the Selection Committee for choosing Dad. I know Dad would have been really proud today, and so would Mom. But you know, he didn't live his life to gain notoriety. He gained notoriety because of the way he lived his life. He was such a social leader. People gravitated to him to spend time with him, whether that was to work in his company, whether it was to follow his lead, or some vision he had for the Credit Valley Golf and Country Club, or Applewood United Church, or whether it was for any organization, Kiwanis Club of Mississauga, for heaven's sakes, he was president of that. He just seemed to acquire leadership roles. But the most incredible leader for me was that he was a father, that he taught our family about sticking together, about loving each other, that's what counts. Relationships matter. Relationships count. And I'm very proud, as he would be, that this event, this is a really important event to honor those that have contributed. This event, it brings people together. It brings families together. And that point alone, I know Jack would have been really, really happy. David, thank you so much. How you introduced him, and the words, heartfelt, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you all. I can't wait to see Legends Row with everybody else. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ellen. Thank you. And now to introduce our next inductee is someone I consider a mentor and blessed to call a family friend. Would you please welcome? She also sits on our committee and she chairs the selection committee as well. Would you please welcome Diane Kalinchuk?
Good afternoon, and thank you, Jake, for those kind words. I'm very honored to have been asked to share with all of you the great accomplishments of Stella Ume. Mississauga was very fortunate when David and Patsy Ume and family decided to reside in our city in 1970. Please stand and wave, dear David and Patsy Ume, so we can acknowledge you. Stella Ume began her gymnastics career with Gymnastics Mississauga in 1981 when she was only 6 years old. Head coach Alex Bard coached Stella for over 14 years. She progressed to become one of Canada's most decorated gymnasts. Stella has represented Mississauga and Canada at our national championships, Pan Am Games, Commonwealth Games, World Championships, and the 1992 Olympic Games. Head coach Alex Bard is here with us today. He did a wonderful job with Stella and many of our gymnasts. Please stand, Alex, and be acknowledged. In 1990, Alex Bard received a phone call from Gymnastics Canada. They said Stella was needed to represent Canada at the Commonwealth Games in Auckland, New Zealand. So in 2 hours, Stella was on the plane heading to New Zealand. The plane landed 17 hours later. And upon arrival, Stella went directly to the competition and joined our Canadian team. She was warmly greeted by our Canadian judge at that Commonwealth Games, Susan Harris from Mississauga. And Susan is here today to honor Stella. And we're so proud of Susan too. Please stand and wave and let us see you. At these Commonwealth Games, Stella Ume competed on all 4 events: vault, bars, beam, and floor, helping Canada win the team all-around gold medal. Pretty amazing. Over the next 4 years, Stella performed brilliantly on the international scene, her world and Olympic results unparalleled by other Canadian gymnasts. Stella capped her elite gymnastics career by winning the all-around gold medal at the 1994 Commonwealth Games, the only veteran on our Canadian team. Later in 1994, Stella attended UCLA on a 4-year scholarship, where she was a 2-time All-American and led UCLA gymnastics team to the team gold medal in 1997. Stella joined Cirque du Soleil in 1999 and appeared in the productions of Mystere and Veracai in Las Vegas. Stella Ume now lives with her family in Australia, and thus she is unable to be with us here today. But she is watching, and we will be hearing from her. An amazing gymnast, young woman, married lady, and now mother of Billy, and a TV color commentator. We are also so proud to call her a Mississaugan. Please, Ron, now show us the great video you have of our wonderful Stella Ume. Thank you.
Stella Ume was introduced to the sport of gymnastics at the age of 6 when her mother stopped by a building to ask for directions. The building happened to be Gymnastics Mississauga, where Stella would be enrolled in lessons 1 week later. falling in love with the sport, Stella trained diligently for many years to become an elite gymnast who represented Canada in international competition from the late 80s until the mid-90s. The 1990 Commonwealth Games was her breakout competition. Originally not even slated to compete, she was added to the Canadian team at the last minute and helped them win the gold.
Every day is Christmas for this young lady. Boy, does she have a lot of fun. Stella Ume. On May 27th, she'll turn 16, and she was telling us about it the other day, too.
Stella is a lot of fun to watch, and she's an excellent athlete. She has a lot of originality in all her routines, and this is actually one of her best events. Beautifully done. Yurchenko in the layout position with a full twist, but the height off that vault was just incredible.
At the 1992 World Championships, she made both the beam and vault finals, and at the Olympics later that year, she placed 16th in the all-around as the only Canadian gymnast to qualify in the 36-person field.
Stella Ume of Canada, her vault.
She's having an excellent meet so far in the Olympics. Very powerful gymnast.
And this is a great event for Stella. She is very explosive. Watch this vault. Yurchenko full twist. Beautiful. Beautiful vault.
Wow.
She finaled in floor at the 1993 World Championships.
As she intends to do with the Commonwealth Games, individual gold medal in the all-around competition. Stella Ume.
Long swing, full turn. Another. So the combination is there. So was the Kachev. Not quite in handstand to the lower bar, but she's doing very little damage here to a medal chance. The second Kachev was fine. The dismount, absolutely nailed. Double twist, Stella Ume.
And finished her elite career with the all-around title at the 1994 Commonwealth Games.
She has to keep concentrating because this is a very technical vault. It's very important that she's precise in this round off, that her hands hit the horse correctly, and she's able to convert upwards.
Ume continued to excel gymnastically in college, winning 2 floor titles and helping the UCLA Bruins to their first ever NCAA team title in 1997. Stella's former coach, the legendary Valerie Condos Field, agrees.
You have a way of bringing movement to life that has never been seen before, and especially in our sport. So thank you for all you did to help us put UCLA gymnastics on the map as one of the most artistic athletic programs in the world. I could not be more proud of you, happy for you, your amazing family. Congratulations, Stella. I love you. Mwah.
Throughout her 4 years at college, she won 3 golds, 3 silvers, and 1 bronze at the NCAA championships. She was twice the Pac-12 Conference all-around champion. In 2012, Stella was inducted into UCLA's Athletics Hall of Fame. In 2000, after finishing her competitive career, Stella joined Cirque du Soleil Mystère in Las Vegas, and in 2002, she was named to the creation team and the original cast of Cirque's Fakih as a triple trapeze artist. Stella continued to wow audiences in a diverse offering of roles while performing with the legendary circus company for over a decade. She was cast in the Canadian docuseries Fire Within, which earned 2 Gemini and 2 Emmy Awards, respectively. Mississauga recognized Stella with the 1994 Co-Female Athlete of the Year, and in 2002, she was inducted into the Mississauga Sports Hall of Fame. Currently, Stella lives in Australia with her husband and daughter, where she teaches yoga and kids acrobatics. Having not completely left the stage, Stella can be found on stages throughout her home state, entertaining people as a stand-up comedian. Welcome to Mississauga's Legends Row, Stella Ume.
And presenting the award to Mississauga legend Stella Ume, would you please welcome 2018 inductee Susan Harris and former coach of Mississauga Gymnastics, Alex Bard, and to accept the award on Stella's behalf are her wonderful parents, Patsy and David Ume.
Alex really deserves this award. Not me. He did. Did you see him so many times in the video? Way to go, Alex.
No choice. He says you do the speaking as if he'll speak for me. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Mayor, Chancellor Hazel McCallion, honored guests, it takes a village. My family's favorite quote. True words have never been spoken. David and I feel very humbled and blessed to be here today representing Stella at this award ceremony, and me to indulge in my second favorite pastime, dress up. All our lives, we have had great support in Stella's second father and coach, Alex Bard. Our good friend, Father Burns, and numerous relatives and family. I have always known that Stella is special and blessed. And now, thanks to all of you, she can forever share her gift with others. David and I thank you. Now, for one of my proudest moments, here is Stella, all the way from Australia, to express her gratitude and acceptance to everyone. Blessings to all of you.
Hi, coming to you from my backyard here in Australia. I'm really bummed that I'm not there in person to accept this unbelievable award there in the wonderful city of Mississauga, in the great hall of all places. I'd like to say thank you to Ron Duquette and the selection committee of Legends Row for this honor to be grouped together with some remarkable fellow citizens of Mississauga is mind-blowing, and I'm so thoroughly honored and humbled. It takes a village, and I lived in one of the greatest villages, in my opinion, on the planet. It was such an honor to represent the city of Mississauga, to start and finish my career at the Gymnastics Mississauga under the amazing tutelage and the mentorship of Alex Bard and his entire coaching staff, the administrative staff, all of the other families and athletes that I had the privilege to compete with and to train with at Gymnastics Mississauga. That was truly my own. Can't do this on my own, couldn't have done this on my own. I'd like to thank my parents, because without them, without their sacrifice, without their constant commitment to helping me to get from point A to point B, I wouldn't have been here. So I'd like to say thank you again, Legends Row. Wow, totally awesome. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and congratulations to all of the other recipients. Bye.
don't know what time it is in Australia, but we should FaceTime her outside when we show her. It's 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock in the morning. Is she sleeping right now, or is she? No? No, maybe not. Yeah, we'll FaceTime with her outside. Show her her wonderful induction plaque. All right, there you have it, folks. The 2019 inductees to Legends Row Mississauga's Walk of Fame. Would you please give them a round of applause? Yes, absolutely. Incredible. And now we're going to move on to 2020 and to introduce our next inductee, someone who knows our next recipient quite well. Would you please welcome back to the podium? I don't know if she's going to sing her way as she presents, but she's got that beautiful voice. Would you please welcome Patty Janetta Baker?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jake. Well, hello, everyone. And hi, Ronnie. You know, what an honor it is for me to speak about you today, my dear friend. But, you know, I have to talk about the Ronnie I know and I love. My first experience with Ronnie was at a Toronto hotel. That sounds bad. Let me continue. When he was headlining the showroom and our young R&B band were playing the dance club down the hall. We all snuck in between sets to hear Ronnie play in the band, and we were just blown away. We said to ourselves, we better do our homework. Thanks to you, Hazel, to do our homework. Anyways, the next morning on our way to breakfast, we followed this trail of empty beer and whiskey cases, some broken furniture and assorted clothing. And we asked the staff what happened, and they said, Rompin' Ronnie had a party. I officially met Ronnie, though, in the mid-'80s when he was playing the Royal York's Imperial Room, and the maitre d', my dear father, Louis Janetta, introduced us. Unbeknownst to me, my dad had slipped Ronnie's manager my first album, and as a favor, he had taken it to the Midem Festival in France. He came back with some offers and asked if he could manage me. Now, I had my own band, but my Rock and Roll 101 initiation was the honor of being a backup singer for Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks, and what a ride that was. The cast of characters that surrounded Ronnie at any given time left me gasping in awe or sometimes running for cover. Everybody wanted Ronnie. When he wasn't performing for presidents, headlining shows in Europe or at Massey Hall, he'd work with some of the greatest artists and musicians in the world, and I luckily got to meet them. Countless shows, from playing Farm Aid with Gordon Lightfoot and Burton Cummings to Edmonton's Klondike Days with Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and Chubby Checker, to starring at the Mississauga Board of Trade Gala, where Ronnie asked me to sing a song. And the applause was pretty loud for this hometown girl. Then he jokingly whispered into the mic, "That might be the last time you get a solo, darling." I never knew who would show up to see Ronnie. Bob Dylan one night, Garth Hudson playing keys the next. But how thrilled I was to join Ronnie and Bo Diddley for a triple bill on the Imperial Room stage. Ronnie announced to the sold-out room, "You better not get too close to Patty. Her daddy's in the mafia." Remember? We were playing our annual New Year's Eve gig at Nathan Phillips Square, live on City TV. That year, the show was sponsored by the fur industry, and we were wearing very expensive coats. I'm sure you remember that, Wanda. Something smelled really bad. And we discovered Ronnie trying to get warm, standing really close to a stage heater, and when we looked, his fur coat was on fire. What a commotion on live TV yet. We laughed so hard it hurts. You know, so many memories, but it would take me a year up here to tell you even a few of them. But I have to mention that a group of us got to lobby Parliament, went on a bus, you know, Burton Cummings, Randy Bachman, a whole bunch of us, all the way to Ottawa. And we actually changed the copyright law in Canada for all Canadian musicians, and that law still stands today. But most of us figured it was the way Mr. Charming sweet-talk Flora MacDonald. You know, friends came from everywhere to toast the good times. Sorry. A few years ago, Ronnie and his beautiful wife, Wanda, hosted the last hurrah. They were moving from the place that held precious memories for them, their family, and so many of us. Friends came from everywhere to toast the good times. People like Jim Cuddy, the Weber brothers, Robbie Lane, and his longtime buddy, Chris Christopherson. A litany of artists who had learned so much from a man who'd given his heart and soul to music and launched the careers of countless musicians who went on to their own fame and fortune. As Ronnie took to the stage to sing a rousing rendition of Who Do You Love, reunited with cherished pals and a few of us Hawkettes, including B.J. Cook and Beverly D'Angelo, it struck me, we all love you, Ronnie. Just look at the many lives you've touched, the mass of people in front of us that day, here today, and everywhere. We're only a small token. Thank you for everything you've done for the Canadian music industry. And congratulations, Ronnie Hawkins, our Mr. Dynamo, on your induction into the Legends Row Walk of Fame. Thank you. And now let's see some more about Ronnie Hawkins.
Ronnie Hawkins was born in Huntsville, Arkansas in 1935, just 2 days after Elvis Presley. Known affectionately over the years as Mr. Dynamo and the Hawk, his love of music started in high school. He formed the first version of his band, the Hawks, while studying at the University of Arkansas in the 1950s. In 1958, on the recommendation of Conway Twitty, who considered Canada to be the promised land for a rock and roll singer, Hawkins came to Hamilton, Ontario to play a club called the Golden Rail Tavern. He never left. Adopting Canada as his home, Hawkins became a permanent resident in 1964 and quickly was crowned the King of Yonge Street.
The word on the street was they were the most badass group.
In 1958, his hit Hey Bo Diddley was released. This was followed by Mary Lou, which turned Hawkins into a teenage idol.
I'm going to tell you a story about a Mary Lou. I mean the kind of a woman make a fool of you. She make a young man groan and an old man pain. The way she took my money was a crying shame. Mary Lou, Mary Lou. She took my diamond ring.
Over the years, Hawkins gained recognition for recruiting and grooming outstanding Canadian talent. The membership of his band, the Hawks, kept changing as the talent flowed in and out. One edition of the Hawks, with Canadians Richard Manuel, Garth Hudson, Robbie Robertson, Rick Danko, and drummer Levon Helm, a fellow musician from Arkansas, moved on to become Bob Dylan's backup band and later achieved superstardom as the Band.
I'd sure love to be with them just one more time, talking about days gone by. I don't know, but I've been told those days we were walking, they were solid gold. And Lord, we could carry such a heavy load, walking in days gone by. I don't know if people heard me.
Another incarnation became Janis Joplin's Folk Tilt Boogie Band, and another, Robbie Lane and the Disciples.
The purpose of a man is to love a woman, and the purpose of a woman is to love a man.
At the height of the 1960s peace movement, Hawkins invited John Lennon and Yoko Ono to his Mississauga farm adjacent to the now UTM during the couple's peace crusade.
There's Dolly Parton.
Oh, she's sweet as a mother's love.
Yeah.
And this down here, of course, that's John and Yoko and Dick Gregory, when they stayed with me for a couple of weeks at my house.
So what was that like, having John Lennon and Yoko Ono in the house, though?
Well, it was, as I look back...
pretty freaky people.
Different for me. One day, one morning, and of course it was Yoko down there doing that high, whatever that shit is, and I woke up and said, I've heard that sound before. What is that? What is it? And it's from me being a country boy.
Yeah.
You know, when I was little, when they'd raise them hogs up and denut them, that's the squeal that you heard from that hog. It sounded just like it, man. I couldn't...
That was Yoko down the kitchen.
Yeah.
In 1992, he performed at the inauguration party of former President Bill Clinton, one of the Hawks' biggest fans. Hawkins won a Juno for Best Country Male Vocalist in 1984 for his hit Making It Again. In 1996, the Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences honored him with the Walt Greeless Special Achievement Award for his contribution to developing Canada's music industry. In November 2007, Ronnie was honored with the SOCAN Special Achievement Award. This award is given to individuals who have greatly contributed to Canada's music industry over the course of their careers. Additional honors came in 2002 with his induction on Canada's Walk of Fame. 2004 was the Canadian Music Industry Hall of Fame. In 2012, Mississauga's Music Walk of Fame welcomed Ronnie to their assembly. And in 2013, he was made an honorary officer of the Order of Canada.
I would describe myself as just a lifelong fanatic rock and roller. That's all I ever wanted to be, ever since I can remember, since I was 16, 17 years old. I just wanted to be a rock and roller. I had 2.5 decades of the most fun you could ever have, no matter who you were. I wouldn't have traded places with the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or Elvis or anybody.
Wow. And to present the Legends Row Award to fanatic rock and roller, our wonderful Mississauga legend, Ronnie Hawkins. Would you please welcome Ward 6 Mississauga Councillor, our dear friend, the one and only as well, Ron Starr.
You don't have to stand.
I'll say, oh, am I on? You're on. I've chased too many girls, folks. My legs are gone. And that over there, that's one of them in that green jacket right there. Well, what are you going to put my folks to say, folks? I don't know nothing. Goodness gracious. I know after all this publicity I'm getting, if I ever get a job, I want to ask for a raise immediately, if not sooner. But I tell you what, folks, I have had, without a doubt, the greatest time in this area right here than anybody in the world could have. They said I had a lot of fun. I don't even remember. But I'll tell you what, there's one of my girlfriends over in that green jacket. Well, I'll tell you what, that Hazel has done some stuff, folks. I'm telling you. I can't go into it, I don't think, but what I love about her, they started playing the national anthem of Canada, and there were some kids, boys, making noise and stuff. She stopped it and shooed their asses out like you would not believe, and I was tickled to death, boy, I'm telling you, because it needed to be done. But I'll tell you what, I was always in love with her, though. She knows things that kings and queens ain't even read about. Oh, boy. What am I supposed to say here now?
Yeah, keep going.
Can we tell them about that wild party you had?
Yeah, the stars and the credit. You and Hazel were dancing.
You know, she'd give me out. She'd driven all the way from California or somewhere way off, been on the road, spent all that time, and got me on the dance floor, and I like to have died. I'm telling you what, she's got more energy, more strength than anybody I know. I'll tell you what, if I was 6 months younger, I'd be after you. Folks, thank you very much, Mississauga. There ain't nobody had more fun than people in Mississauga. Some of it I can't remember. Now, he throws the wildest parties you've ever seen, this old boy right here does.
One of the four Ronnies.
So she is. I loved living in Mississauga. And that was the best boss she ever had. She knows things that kings and queens ain't even read about.
Thank you very much, our Mississauga legend, Ronnie Hawkins. And now would you please welcome Mr. Darrell Martin, Provincial President of Save Ontario Shipwrecks, to introduce our next inductee.
Thank you, Jake. As a proud 30-year resident of this amazing city, it is my great honor to introduce the next inductee to Mississauga's Legends Row. Jill Heinerth is regarded as one of the greatest underwater explorers in history. As you will hear in her induction video, her accomplishments as an explorer, photographer, author, and filmmaker are unparalleled. She is renowned throughout the scuba diving community and around the world, and millions have enjoyed her presentations on her adventures under the waves and literally into the planet. As with other members of Legends Row, it is not what Jill gained, but what she has given back to the community that makes her special. For the last 13 years, I've had the privilege of calling Jill a friend. During this time, I have witnessed firsthand her evolution from an explorer and filmmaker to an ambassador and role model. In 2015, Jill became the inaugural Explorer-in-Residence with the Royal Canadian Geological Society. In this role, she's been traveling across the country to educate the next generation on water, our planet's most precious resource. As with all great explorers, she's been able to overcome any obstacle in her way. When the global pandemic shut down travel, Jill immediately reinvented herself and became a master of online presentations to continue her work. Over the last 18 months, she has made hundreds and hundreds of presentations across this country in her efforts as an ambassador for the environment. Like little drops of water that together can grow into a raging river, each of these children that Jill inspires will one day be her true legacy as they become a force for change to protect our planet for generations to come. My own daughter here today is an example of this, as she looks to Jill as a mentor and role model of what you can accomplish when you believe in yourself and dive into the unknown. So please join me in celebration of Jill Heinerth's accomplishments and contributions. Thank you.
Let's take a look at the video, folks. We have a video of Jill.
I'm an underwater explorer. More specifically, a cave diver. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a little kid, but growing up in Canada as a young girl, that wasn't really available to me.
Jill Heinerth is a Canadian cave diver, underwater explorer, writer, photographer, and filmmaker. As a child growing up in Mississauga, Heinerth was inspired by Jacques Cousteau's television series. In 5th grade, she gave a science fair project about mysterious disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. She gained a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Visual Communication Design at York University and ran a small graphic design agency while teaching scuba diving in Tobermory in the evenings. In 1991, Heinerth moved to the Cayman Islands to dive full-time, honing skills in underwater photography. She then moved to Florida to work on cave diving. Since then, more people have walked on the moon than have been to some of the places that Jill's exploration have taken her right here on Earth. The most dangerous technical dives deep inside underwater caves to searching for never-before-seen ecosystems. Jill's curiosity and passion about our watery planet is the driving force in her life.
We were perceived as adrenaline junkies. We were perceived as, sports enthusiasts doing crazy things, nearly getting themselves killed, just exploring and mapping them for the first time. These sea caves are literally being created by the hydraulic pressure of the waves crashing into these islands. And so many scientists are interested in it. And as a cave diver and as an artist, I can be the hands and the eyes of scientists that I collaborate with. We can make discoveries that are important to humanity.
Jill was the first person ever appointed by the Royal Canadian Geographical Society to be their explorer in residence and has been inducted into the International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame. She has completed more than 7,000 dives and was on the team that created the very first 3D map of an underwater cave system. She traveled more than 3 kilometers into an underwater cave in one dive, further than any woman in history. One of the most thrilling and challenging projects of her career was being the first to dive into and swim through the world's largest Antarctic iceberg, the size of Jamaica. Only her calm under pressure, experience, and knowledge of this almost alien environment would save her life on this pioneering dive. Jill's accolades are many, including induction into the Explorers Club and the inaugural class of the Women Divers Hall of Fame. She was named a living legend by Sport Diver magazine and selected as Scuba Diving Magazine's Sea Hero of the Year in 2012. In recognition of her lifetime achievement, Jill was awarded the inaugural Sir Christopher Ondante Medal for Exploration, established by the Royal Canadian Geographical Society in 2013. In 2017, she received the Governor General's Polar Medal. Jill is renowned for her photography, documentary videography, lectures, and books. She has made TV series for PBS, National Geographic Channel, and the BBC, and consulted on movies for directors including Oscar winner James Cameron, who produced Titanic in 1997. Jill Heinerth, a legend in underwater exploration, we welcome you to Mississauga's Walk of Fame, Legends Row.
And to present the award to Mississauga legend Jill Heinerth, would you please welcome the Legends Row founder, Ron Duquette.
Thank you so much. This is such an incredible honor. I grew up in Cooksville, and actually the small, apple orchard town, and it's grown into such a remarkable city. And I remember as a young lifeguard being asked to do my first outdoor job as a lifeguard, and I had the honor of making sure that nothing happened to a very special person in this city, Hazel McCallion. Now, they told me, this was over 40 years ago, and they said, "Dear, you have to watch out for her. She's getting old, you know." Boy, were they wrong. And I remember just shaking, thinking about the responsibility. But as I looked at Hazel McCallion, I thought, this tiny little dynamo is such an incredible model of leadership for me as a young woman. I mean, growing up in the 60s, I wanted to be an astronaut. And as the video says, there wasn't a Canadian space program or girl astronauts or anything like that. But here, growing up in Mississauga, I had a chance to see an iconic model of a strong woman who would just take charge and bulldoze her way to do whatever she wanted. I still have my badge, too, from my town of Mississauga lifeguard days. So today I have the privilege of swimming through the veins of Mother Earth in the very sustenance of our planet within our drinking water. And there I get to explore global climate change and the roots of life and incredible things that have been left behind by ancient civilizations. It's an amazing privilege. And while I get to share the stories of these fantastic places that nobody has ever been to and perhaps nobody will ever return to, I can get people pretty excited about the adventure, and then I can shove a little truth in there too about how we can protect our water resources for future generations and how this water connects us all. And so I stand before you here today as a young woman uncertain of her way at 16, then turns into her own leader with the ultimate goal of hoping that I can be the woman that I wished I'd met when I was 10 years old. So that can only happen in a fantastic place like the city of Mississauga. So I am incredibly honored to be here before you today, and thank you.
Incredible. Yeah, what a blessing we are to live in this great city, isn't it? It's beautiful. All right, to introduce our next very special inductee, would you please welcome back to the podium Mayor Bonnie Crombie.
All right, well, on bonjour once again, everyone. This is an absolute honor and privilege, like the rest of them before me said, to introduce our next inductee, somebody I consider one of our most compassionate residents. He's an inspiration, he's a mentor, and I'm very blessed because he's also a dear friend. He has proven that the Canadian dream is not only possible, but it's within reach of everyone. He's an entrepreneur at heart who brought a lifetime of experiences from abroad, from the Middle East, from Europe, and wanted to change how we do business here in Canada. He's a hard worker and determined to succeed. And he knows that the keys to success isn't about being a smart businessman, but it is. It's equally about being a great neighbor and a good person. And in an incredibly short time, he built a global empire. And he's extremely generous with his time and his resources, donating to countless charities both here in Mississauga and abroad. In 2017, he gave new immigrants here to Mississauga an opportunity to shine by hiring 150 refugees to work in his restaurant and sponsoring 10 Syrian families himself. He openly stands up against hate, discrimination, and stands up for human rights. He's always the first in line when there's a need,
not only in our community, but abroad. Last year, he flew to Lebanon after the explosion in the Beirut harbor to help those most impacted on the ground. And he created Canada Strong, which he spearheaded and which raised $6 million for the victims' families of Flight 957. He's raised millions of dollars to help the most vulnerable in our community throughout the pandemic, whether it was raising money to provide our hospitals with PPE, or as chair of the campaign for the food bank, raising over $1 million at the height of the pandemic. He's viewed by those in our community as an inspiration and has proven that good people can also be very successful and generous people. I don't need to remind you that he rebuilt the mosque where 6 people were killed and paid for those victims' funerals as well. So he's not only an entrepreneur, but he's a philanthropist. You know that he was the founder of Paramount Restaurants, but he's better known for community service. But he's achieved a few business awards too. Let's listen to some of those. Most Admired CEO in Canada back in 2019. The face and the voice of UNHCR. A Doctorate of Laws in 2018. Toronto Life's Top 50. Oh, not in 1 year. In 2016, in 2017, in 2019, and 2020. What happened in 2018, Mohammad? He's been a Business Person of the Year, recognized by our Mississauga Board of Trade. And he was awarded the keys to our great city at that same gala, in fact, at the MBOT Awards on November 15th, 2019. In 2020, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce recognized him as CEO of the Year. He's been, of course, one of Canada's top 25 immigrants. And finally, just recently, the Globe and Mail recognized him as the Corporate Citizen of the Year. This is Mohammad Fakih, our friend and our neighbor. Thank you. And me, Che Miigwech. I'll come back.
Mohammad Fakih is a Lebanese-Canadian businessperson, community leader, and philanthropist. He is the founder of the Middle Eastern halal restaurant chain, Paramount Fine Foods. Fakih emigrated to Canada from Lebanon, where he was a practicing gemologist in 1996. In 2006, he purchased a nearly bankrupt shawarma restaurant in Mississauga. That purchase has turned into an 85-restaurant global franchise, one that is helping to change how Middle Eastern food is viewed and consumed. He is bridging cultures, differences, and correcting misperceptions through the sharing of food at a time when much of the world is moving apart. Fakih is motivated by a strong sense of justice and fairness, and his philanthropic and community service activities are legendary. In 2018, Mayor Bonnie Crombie announced that Mississauga Sports Arena was to be named the Paramount Fine Foods Centre after the company purchased the naming rights. In 2017, after a gunman targeted Muslims at a prayer in Quebec, killing 6, Mr. Fakih paid for funeral expenses for the victims and repairs to the mosque. During a stretch of minus 30-degree weather in December of 2017, when Toronto's housing shelters were at capacity, Mr. Fakih helped pay for dozens of hotel rooms for the homeless. At the height of the 2011 Syrian refugee crisis, he traveled to Syria to the front lines to better understand relief efforts, and has since hired more than 150 refugees in his restaurants. He spearheaded the raising of $125,000 in 24 hours for the families displaced by a fire in St. Jamestown, Toronto. In 2018, he raised nearly $6 million, including matching funds by the Canadian federal government, for the families of victims killed by the downing of Flight 957. He visited his homeland of Lebanon shortly after the August 2020 explosion and stayed there for days to raise awareness and support relief efforts. The coalition raised $17.2 million for relief in the city. Fakih and Paramount donated tens of thousands of meals from the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, efforts he often participates in personally. Meals are distributed to homeless encampments, women's shelters, frontline workers, food banks, and others in need. In November 2019, he was awarded the key to the city of Mississauga by Mayor Bonnie Crombie. He is only the third person to receive such an honor. On November 27, 2019, Fakih was named the most admired CEO in Canada by Waterstone Human Capital's Awards, one of the highest accolades a Canadian business leader can receive. He was also named the 2019 Business Person of the Year by the Mississauga Board of Trade, and in 2018 was named a UNHCR ambassador with the honor of hosting a conversation with Malala Yousafzai during her visit to Toronto. In the fall of 2018, Mr. Fakih was awarded an honorary doctorate from Ryerson University for his contributions to Canadian society, and in the same year, the Toronto Region Board of Trade named him its Business Leader of the Year, one of several such accolades he received that year alone. Mohammad Fakih continues to give back to society and is an inspiration for others to follow. Thank you, Mohammad, and welcome to Legends Row.
And to present the award to Mississauga legend Mohammad Fakih, I'd like to invite back up Mayor Bonnie Crombie, as well as former Mayor of Mississauga, Hazel McCallion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the board of directors and the selection committee of Legends Row for this great honor. So, I guess it's official. I'm not just a legend in my own mind anymore. Although, my wife might still think so. No one becomes a legend on their own. The hockey players had teammates. They had parents who took them to practice. I have an amazing and supportive family. 3 boys and my lovely wife, Hanan. An incredible group of friends and people who have helped me succeed. Executives, managers, dishwashers, roofers, they are all essential, all important, all part of the team, and I owe them the success. I love our city. I love its people. I'm so proud of how we came together as a community during the pandemic, the way we helped people in need through food banks, We have a generous spirit, and we have good hearts. We are not just a city in the world. We are a city of the world, home to so many cultures and traditions. Every single day, Mississauga shows that diversity can be a strength and that we set an example by celebrating our diversity. But like any community, we also have challenges. In the dark corners of our city, there are those who are driven by prejudice, those who want to divide us, those who hate. It falls to every single one of us to stand up for what's right and speak out against racism and hatred. It falls to every single one of us to show that in Mississauga, in Ontario, in Canada, we are stronger together than we are apart. To be legendary is to live on, to be a role model for the next generation and beyond. So let's celebrate what makes us unique and what makes us alike. Let's build a city that is an example to the world. Let's be legendary, all of us, together. Thank you.
Just a younger son recording. Did you get the good video of Dad? It's all good? Awesome. Yeah, that's terrific. And you know, Patsy Ume spoke about this, it takes a village. And just a very quick personal story. My son was at Gordon Graydon in his final year he was doing DECA. And Urgent wanted to interview an entrepreneur. And amongst the 3 or 4 he chose Mohammad. And Mohammad had made a commitment, but Mohammad had to fly out to Lebanon to be with his mom because she was not well. But this man, this legend, made a commitment to Urgent and flew back to present for Urgent, and Urgent today remembers that. Thank you. Paramount also has amazing falafels, by the way, just want to let you know. And the baba ganoush, mamma mia. I know that's Italian, but still. All right. It's been a wonderful afternoon, hasn't it been? It's been terrific. It's been great. All right. To bring it to a close, please welcome Samantha Gates, who will introduce our final inductee for 2020. Samantha.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about my mom. It's difficult for me to comprehend that my mom, has done all of these incredible things that make her so deserving of receiving this distinguished honor. Don't get me wrong, I know firsthand how thoughtful, talented, hardworking, benevolent. I won't bore you with the long list of Mom's endless positive attributes. The point is, I know how amazing she is. What I can't wrap my head around is how she could accomplish all of the things she's being recognized for today and still be the best mom, wife, grandma, and friend a family could ever ask for. I sometimes wonder if she has a secret superpower and can be in multiple places at once, or if she's somehow been granted more hours in the day than the rest of us. Because how else can you explain her always being there for us when we need her, without fail? And also blazing trails and showing what's possible for future generations of women, or uplifting and empowering the less fortunate. When I ask Mom to level with me about her magic powers, she insists she's a human being like the rest of us. And while I remain skeptical, perhaps there's an important lesson there. Each of us has the potential to follow Mom's lead and make the world a better place in big ways and small. You're an inspiration, Mom, and we couldn't be more proud. I'm so lucky that my kids get to grow up with you as their greatest role model. I love you to the moon and back, infinity times. Please enjoy this video.
Barbara Underhill is a former Canadian pair skater. Along with partner Paul Martini, they became one of Canada's most celebrated skating duos. As two-time Olympians, five-time Canadian champions, and seven-time world professional champions, Barbara Underhill and Paul Martini experienced both heartbreak and triumph while in the top echelon of international pairs figure skating. No single accomplishment resonated more than their 1984 World Championship win on home soil, which remains one of the top moments in Canadian sports history.
They've done it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.9s, 2 5.8s, 2 5.7s. The moment of triumph for Barbara Underhill and Paul Martini of Canada. A moment they will remember for the rest of their lives.
The skaters carved out separate careers once their competitive days were over, but it is as a pair that they will always be remembered and celebrated as two of the best that Canada ever produced. As professionals, the duo continued their success and their professional careers took off, dazzling crowds during showcases like Ice Capades and Stars on Ice. Barb was inducted into Canada's Sports Hall of Fame in 1988 and the World Figure Skating Hall of Fame in 2009. Underhill worked for 16 years as a skating TV commentator, but in 2007, she was drawn back to the ice to work with hockey players when she and her husband became part owners of the Guelph Storm. Soon, she was getting interest from NHL teams, eventually signing a contract with both the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2012. Underhill was named in the 2011 edition of the Hockey News list of 100 most influential people in ice hockey and was part of 2 Stanley Cup championships with the Tampa Bay Lightning. She also appeared on CBC hit show Battle of the Blades. A tragic accident in 1992 that saw their young daughter drown in the family pool spawned the creation of a family foundation.
Our daughter crawled out of the house and pulled herself 50 feet across the gravel, up a step, through the pool gate and into our backyard pool. And that was the day my perfect life changed forever.
Through their Stephanie Gates Keepsake Foundation, Barbara and Rick continue to support many causes in Mississauga and nationally, but their main focus has been drowning prevention. Through their partnership with the Life Saving Society, they were the founding partners of Swim to Survive and Swim to Survive Plus, a series of in-school lessons focusing on survival skills in the water. The program was first piloted in Mississauga in 2005 and is now offered in every province across Canada. Over the years, the foundation has also supported many other children and youth initiatives locally. For her work in injury prevention and child health, Barbara was awarded the Life Saving Society Centenary Award and the National Child Day Award by the Canadian Institute of Child Health.
And presenting the award to Mississauga legend Barbara Underhill, would you please welcome another member of our Legends Row Organizing Committee, Judy Tuddy.
Wow. What an honor this is to be inducted today with such an incredible class of people. It's just so inspiring to hear all the stories here today. I want to thank Ron and the board of directors and the city of Mississauga for this just amazing, amazing honor here today. There truly is a village of people to thank. However, Ron only gave me 2 minutes. So I decided that I wanted to thank the person that really is the whole reason that I'm here today. None of this would have happened if the guy over there in the front row hadn't coerced me to move to Mississauga from the big city more than 32 years ago. That decision, as it turned out, was the best decision of my life. Soon after we were married at the beautiful St. Peter's Church on the hill in Mississauga. Eventually, we brought 5 beautiful children into this world. As you heard, in 1993, our lives were shattered when we had to say goodbye to Sam's twin Stephanie, and we said goodbye to her at the beautiful St. Peter's Church on the hill in Mississauga. We held on to each other for dear life, picking up the pieces, trying to establish a legacy for her, and weaving her into our hearts and the fabric of our life. Sam was the ray of hope, and she got us through so many hard days. We came through it all together, stronger than ever, along with Jenny, Matt, and Scotty. We've watched our beautiful family grow up here into solid, kind, strong, wonderful humans. All the school plays, the hockey games, the graduations, and eventually another wedding at St. Peter's Church on the hill. It all happened here. And now we're so blessed with 3 beautiful grandchildren that we get to watch grow up here as well. These are the moments that matter the most. My greatest pride, this is our legacy. So Rick, you've been my rock. You've supported me, encouraged me in every challenge I took on. You put up with being called Mr. Underhill multiple times. You brought me into your hockey world and supported my crazy new career in the NHL. And you helped me hoist the Stanley Cup because it was too heavy for me to hold up. My crazy career, well, I couldn't have dreamed it. It's been a wild ride. It's brought excitement, drama, and a great sense of accomplishment. But the real stuff, the stuff I'm most proud of, happened here in our forever home, Mississauga. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks, the 2019 and 2020 Mississauga Legends. Let's make some noise for them. Congratulations to each and every one of them. And thank you for joining us today. I want you to go out there, and if you'd like to see the plaques and our Walk of Fame, our Legends Row. Please do go out there. As you go out, it'll be on the right side by the Jubilee Gardens. Have a wonderful, safe afternoon. We would like to please have all the inductees come up, yes, come up and for one big group photo. So please, if you could make your way up here, the inductees, that would be great. Ron's going to help us coordinate that. Have a wonderful afternoon. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
so much.
Boys Club. My wife gave me the rest of the afternoon. You might be doing something. That's okay.
official, everyone.
Oh, but I mean, I've seen him, like, he doesn't like to do it for me. I don't know how this guy's not so fast. And he's white. Yo, Papa. And then he says, Papa, we're the same record because I'm white. I caught those pretty fast. I said, well, and then he wants to learn some music. So anyway, I said, do your dreams now. Of course.